So you have people who've met and love stories and friendships and everything through Perillo Tours.
I think it's thousands.
Wow.
I think it's 1,000 marriages.
Well, how many people have gone on your tours?
And then the children. Imagine the children who didn't exist except if it were not for Perillo Tours.
Kind of amazing.
If you multiply that, it's probably 10,000 people who are alive today because of Perillo Tours.
God. I had no idea.
Kidding,
I think that's your whole new marketing campaign.
This is Kathy McCabe. Welcome to the Dream of Italy podcast. You know me from the PBS travel series Dream of Italy and the award-winning website and publication. Join me as we explore the sights and sounds of Bella Italia. From the canals of Venice to the piazzas of Puglia, from the fashion houses of Milan to the vineyards of Tuscany. Hop on, it's gonna be a great ride. Andiamo! First, some words from our podcast sponsors. Inspired by Italy, Fruits and Passion Cucina's olive oil-based dish soaps, hand soaps, lotions, and kitchen mists have been elevating kitchens for nearly 3 decades. Save 15% at fruitsandpassion.com with the promo code DreamOfItaly15. MedJet. While travel should always be dreamy, sometimes it is not. That's when it pays to be a MedJet member like me. If you're sick or injured and hospitalized more than 150 miles from home, domestic or international, MedJet gets you home to the hospital of your choice, something many travel insurance policies don't offer. Get your own MedJet membership at medjet.com/dreamofitaly.
I'm Kathy McCabe, the host of the Dream of Italy podcast. If you grew up in New Jersey or the tri-state area like I did, Steve Perillo of Perillo Tours needs no introduction. To me and many of us, his father, Mario Perillo, was practically more famous than the Pope. That's because he was on our TVs all the time selling the Italy tours his own father practically invented. I'm Mario Perillo for Perillo Tours. I can still hear it now. Steve has continued with the tradition of the TV commercials and innovating in travel to Italy into the 21st century. I'm not sure if this is true, but I bet it is. More Americans have probably traveled to Italy with Perillo than any other way. When he's not running Perillo Tours, Steve spends his time as an accomplished composer, something most people probably don't know. Welcome, Steve.
I'm Mario Perillo for Perillo Tours.
How many times did you hear that?
I'm Mario. What was the second line after that? I've sailed the 7 seas to find the best cruise line, the Costa Riviera, where you get an all-inclusive tour, cruise. We did cruises for years, you know.
I remember the Costa. Now that you're saying it, I remember hearing that. And you guys flew with Pan Am all the time?
We were Pan Am's largest customer. We bought the most seats from 1985 to 1995 to the end. You know, it was sad. That was the original American airline, Pan Am.
Iconic.
And they went, they started the first commercial service, and that's why their airlines are still called Clippers. Clippers are ships.
Yeah.
And the first Pan Am airplanes were air boats, you know, seaplanes.
Right.
Where they land and take off in the water.
Right.
Where they did the Caribbean and Cuba. Not only that, Kathy, when you see a captain on a plane, he's wearing he's called a captain, he's wearing a naval uniform. You didn't know that?
No.
Nobody knows that.
That's why I come to you, Steve.
Yeah.
I never know what you're going to tell me.
A naval, tell the captain. I know you're wearing a naval uniform. Did you know? Do you know why, Captain?
Well, a captain of a ship?
Yeah, because the first airlines were, that's what it started with Pan Am, were flying boats. Like Clipper ship.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And, but the best thing is women pilots, because I feel safe. I think it's much harder for them to achieve that status to become a woman. So they did a lot more work than men. Yeah, I think I trust.
So when you see a woman in the cockpit,
I have much more confidence.
How interesting.
In a woman. I don't see many of them though, but it's always wonderful.
Oh, very cool. So how did Perillo get into this how did your family get into this?
Well, my grandfather had a law degree from Naples University. So he came over first in 24, And I have a whole stack of letters he wrote to my grandmother that I could show you sometime.
Oh my gosh.
And I just see her side of the conversation. I don't see his side of it. So she's always saying, when are you coming over? Why aren't you coming over? Do you have a girlfriend over there? No. Why aren't you inviting us to come to New York? That's what it is.
Right.
He's in Brooklyn. He's got his bank job at Bank of America, which was started by Italians in San Francisco. And she kept saying, do you have a girlfriend over there? Why aren't you inviting me? He kept saying, I'm not ready. I don't have enough money for the kids.
Yeah.
Because my uncle Elio was born there. And finally, 4 years later, I don't know what he did for those 4 years in Brooklyn, but he invited her over in around 1926. And then he worked at the bank. Then there was a war. And then 1945 of May, the war ended that week. And he started Joseph Perillo and Sons in May 1945. And it was in the Bronx by Arthur Avenue. And he was educated, he knew English, he knew Italian, so all the new immigrants from Italy could use his services, because after the war there was a bunch of people emigrated here. They just left their land behind, so they wanted to sell their land back in Italy.
Yeah. Also
send money back to their relatives in Italy. We had this deal for 25 cents. You could send 5 pounds of flour. I still have the sign.
Oh my gosh, I didn't realize.
You could send 5 pounds of flour for, I don't know, it was 25 cents. It had to be a little bit more, which was needed in the 45, 46, 47, that time period.
Things were rough.
Yeah. And especially the legal dealings and that kind of stuff. And that naturally led to cruising, because that's the way you went to Europe on cruise ships. It was 7 or 8 days, I guess, to cross. And so then Americans wanted to visit Italy, and it's very slowly, tourism on a large scale is new. It's fairly for the average person, yeah.
Right, because of course there was the Grand Tour.
For rich people, they had the Grand Tour. The British people had that. Americans, if you went to Harvard, at the end of your education, your parents would send you on the Grand Tour. And that was, you know about that? It's a long, 6 weeks or 6 months. It was a long time.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of books and memoirs written about. They're really interesting to see.
The poets and the upper class, and they would want to see the ancient ruins and Pompeii and the art and museums. But that was obviously the 1% took that.
Yeah, that was the 1% at the time. Even in the last 25 years, we have suffered through this thing called the single room in Italy. The single room was literally a single room, and it was like a shoebox size. And they only did away with them like 10 years ago. A single room, because they were for your coach driver, horse and buggy driver. He would get the single room, and then you would get the double. And the hotel still had the little shoebox rooms up until, and our customers would complain up until that time about the shoebox size room, because in America everyone gets the double room,
and you get double beds, and
because they're new hotels, they made all the rooms the same size.
Right.
But in those days, there was a single room and a double room. The single room was in a small cot, but that's how things. The old days are just a few years ago.
So, what was the key to his success?
All right, so then my grandfather. He did a good job. He mainly instilled a good work ethic. They all went to law school. All my father and his brothers, they all went to law school, except one, the oldest, rebelled because
There's
of
always
the pressure. And he went to Alaska and never came back, ever. I had to go up and see him at the end of his life in the 90s. He was a logger and a salmon
interesting.
fisherman. He didn't go to law school. But Mario, my father, Joe, his brother, was a law professor at Fordham. Mm-hmm. He just passed away last year. And my other Uncle Bob, they were all in the Joseph Perillo and Sons travel agency from 1945 to, they joined in the 50s, to 65. Then my father bought out his brothers, and he started something called wholesale travel,
Okay.
where you buy big blocks of seats and motor coaches, and you sell it through travel agents, the retailers, and you have tours. He really started these bus tours.
So they were
in the
escorted from the
70s.
beginning,
Yeah.
where you had a guide
Yeah.
and they showed you. And he was really one of the first, or the first to do it?
Yeah. No, there were other tours. Tauk Tours started in the 20s, and he did bus tours domestically in New England.
Oh.
He started, his father and him would do, I'm talking about another company, but it's really interesting. He was a traveling salesman, and he would go to New England in the fall, and it was so gorgeous. He said, "I'm traveling to all these cities, it's beautiful here. Why don't I bring a bunch of people along in a larger vehicle and charge them, and it'll pay for my way as I sell whatever he was selling." So that's how they started. But we were all alone in the Italy tour market. The first, what do you call the first person advantage? What's the
First
term
to
for
market?
that? Yeah,
Something
first to
like
market
that?
advantage.
So was it mostly Italian Americans going, or Americans?
Everyone. I'm not sure. I think it was mainly more. It was our clientele in Northeast is Italian, Jewish, and Irish.
Sure.
And combinations, all intermarried.
Yeah, they all intermarried.
But that's the makeup of New York City and the New York City area.
Yeah.
So he got really big, really fast. I'm talking about 3 747s a week. 747s filled.
Oh my God.
That's like 1,500 people a week, 500, 500, 500.
Wow.
And everyone would travel together. It'd be 55 people. The bus would be, I don't even think it was air conditioned. They put the luggage on the top with straps. The hotels weren't air conditioned. It was really cheap. It was $800 for 2 weeks, including airfare.
So it made it accessible to the masses.
Yeah. So he sold thousands and thousands and
When
thousands.
did the...
And then the competitors started getting wind
Sure.
of what was going on, and you lose your advantage, but you keep...
Yeah.
Then you have to think of something new.
When did the TV commercials start?
My grandfather started radio in the 50s.
Really?
I have
I didn't
recordings.
realize that.
And that's when we had the slogan, Chi viaggia con Perillo viaggia tranquillo.
Which means?
When you travel with Perillo, you travel tranquilly. And it really works out. Then TV, I guess we started locally in the early 80s. And TV still really worked, and we're still on television, and it still works.
Yeah.
Even though the audiences are so splintered to all kinds of media and DVR, and nobody watches commercials, but it's enough that it works. And television is kind of automatically, you're on television, you must be a little bit reliable if you can afford to be on TV. So it gives you like you're on TV.
Yeah, and you're one of our sponsors.
And I'm one of your sponsors.
So TV works.
TV puts you in a different
it does.
Still the main where the people gather.
And even
what we all have in common is television.
And even as a sponsor of PBS has a certain prestige over other stations as well.
Yeah.
So, people, there's a big trust factor, and we only have the messages before and after every episode, so people pay attention.
Is that all PBS? So they don't interrupt,
yeah, they don't interrupt anything. Yeah, so it's a little bit different, but if you read all the studies and the marketing information, people pay more attention to PBS, and they're more likely to buy from PBS sponsors because of that trust factor. So what you said is probably right. TV gives you an advantage, and then being on certain channels and certain places, certain radio shows too.
Yeah.
Gives you an advantage.
Ken Burns won't leave. Ken Burns has been invited by HBO, obviously, by everyone to come on. But he doesn't want anyone messing with his product at all. He doesn't want one word about editing this or changing
So yes,
that.
they don't.
So he stays. Isn't that right?
They
PBS,
they don't interfere
mess.
with what we do editorially. Everything is separated, of course. The sponsors don't influence the content or vice versa. And it's a great way to get the message out or to do your work because nobody's fooling with it. Nobody's coming back and giving you notes and making you change things.
Yeah.
Things like that.
So we still do the TV and more online, though, for advertising. Because when somebody searches
Well, that's the big
for a
thing,
trip,
right? With
you
travel.
want to be there, and you have to pay to be there.
So is that the biggest change in the
Yeah.
last 10 years? Is the internet?
Yeah. But there's a difference between that. I don't know if your audience is that interested in the details of marketing, but it is interesting.
Well, I think curious about how it's travelers have changed.
Yeah, the travelers themselves.
Yeah.
But just to finish, the internet, if you're searching for something, we're going to be there. But TV is different. You're not searching for us. It's like
giving you the idea.
Yeah, we give you the idea, and you have to have that too.
And what about, I said in the introduction, I remember watching your dad, watching you on TV, and then of course I grew up in New Jersey, we always got your brochures, these beautiful brochures. I'm assuming, I know you still send them, that's still a really effective way.
Oh, that's another secret in advertising. The U.S. Post Office charges, let's say, $1 to send a brochure. FedEx or UPS would charge $18 for the same thing.
Yeah.
So you understand what's going on there?
Yeah.
It's being financed by. They say it is not financed by taxes. That's not how the U.S. government is supporting this thing.
Right.
So it's very cheap advertising. It's being financed by the government instead of, if we had to pay UPS, it would be over. If we had to pay $18, could you imagine?
So how many brochures do you send out?
A few million every year.
Wow.
Well, 500,000 brochures, but then we send mailers and teasers and things like that. But they're the most powerful way of advertising still. And I tell you, the cost benefit is amazing with the U.S. Post Office. It's better than email because email people
it can just get lost.
Yeah.
It can get lost. Email's really, it's good if somebody they have to open it. If they open it, then you have to have some snazzy subject lines.
I guess a hard copy in your mailbox, you could throw it right in the garbage.
But I think we're getting less hard mail. I mean, so when I get
is that
something,
right, junk mail?
I think I get less mail than I used to. So if I have something in my mail, I notice it. I'm at least looking at the front of it. As a
woman, remember they used to buy catalogs? They get thousands of junk mail.
Yeah, I probably got on some list and got rid of some of those catalogs. But I notice when I get
I don't get it, but I'm a single guy. I don't get that much mail. I don't even check my mailbox. I check it once every 2 weeks.
You should be okay. What if you get some, you've won Publishers Clearinghouse? So actually, they come to the door, so you should be. I don't know.
It's not for real.
I see that on TV.
Ed McMahon is not with us anymore.
But he's another big, effective TV guy. I don't know any Publisher Clearinghouse winners, but
that had to do with magazine
subscriptions, and then you have to send things back in, and
so you subscribe to Time magazine.
I don't think I doubt there's a requirement. They're not supposed to require you buy something,
right?
So I'm not really sure. I think you probably get something bonus if you do. But another effective TV advertising campaign.
Yeah, and sweepstakes still work. And but the main thing is to have a good product at a good price, and if you don't advertise, you don't exist.
True. How have your tours changed?
Oh, they've become higher and higher. The price has not gone up. I guess it's gone up more than inflation, but the quality has improved over the years just because of the sophistication of the traveler.
They're very sophisticated. So better hotels.
Yeah. Everyone's been to Europe probably already. When we were starting in the 70s with the tours, it was their first trip to Europe. Well, actually, what's the rate of passports in the United States? Is it still 35%?
I was going to say about 35%.
Could you imagine? So 65% of Americans still don't have a passport.
What if they did?
You need it now for Canada. You need it for Mexico when you didn't. And you didn't need driver's license got you into the Caribbean.
Yeah.
But you need a passport for all of them now, and it's still 35%. So the vastness of the potential market is unbelievable.
What else did these travelers want on your tours?
So the hotels had to improve. Centrally located is very important. That's a distinction among tours. So you could walk out your door and you're right in the center of town. It really, really, really helps. It's so nice to be able to do that. And then There's no more single room. Everyone gets a double-sized room, a large room.
Yeah.
There's
Continental breakfast, right?
Continental breakfast was it had to be more than coffee and a crust of bread, a croissant. What was the third thing? Was there orange juice or
Juice, some kind of pastry or cake. They like
Yeah.
cake for breakfast, and then a coffee.
And then the next meal was the big meal of the day at 1:30. They must have been starving, Italians.
You would think so.
And then dinner was our
Little
lunch,
lighter.
lighter.
Yeah.
And that's why I think sleeping after lunch is a great idea.
Oh, it sounds good. We just had lunch before we recorded this. We
that's
should
why
have.
I'm missing my
That's why
nap.
we're. I'm so sorry.
I
I'm
may be dreaming this.
sorry. You're doing just fine.
And then the food had to improve too.
But is there ever really
Especially
bad food
choice.
in Italy? Or you like choices?
A big group, 50
Yeah.
people, 100 people.
Yeah.
The waiters come from the hinterland and they're throwing the dishes around in the old days.
Right.
And you were paying, we were paying $10 for a dinner with wine. It was so cheap. The value was unbelievable.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that. It gave people a chance to go to Italy without being rich.
Yeah.
You don't have the best of everything, but you get to
opened the
travel the world.
world.
Yeah. So you stay in a less than perfect hotel or less than.
Right.
But in Italy, it got ludicrous to not have great food because
Yeah.
that's like
Yeah. That's what
That's-
everyone's going to talk about.
yes, number one or number two, the artwork, the countryside, and the food and the people. So, and then a choice of entree, and then the wine has gotten better and better, but wine is still really...
Cheaper than soda.
You can get a €2, I've seen this in Italian wine stores, €2,
Yeah.
$2.50, and really, really good wine,
Yeah.
local. There's no distribution cost, there's no importing costs, there's no sulfites, so all that stuff is really, 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 not the greatest, but it's... so that's how, and smaller groups. People want to stay in smaller groups, but groups still work. It doesn't sound like you're going on vacation with strangers.
Coming up next, Steve explains the dangers of traveling with your spouse. Just kidding. Sort of. You'll see what I mean. But first, a travel tip from the pages of Dream of Italy, the award-winning travel publication I founded in 2002. Did you know the star ratings for Italian hotels are set by the government? They can sometimes be misleading, so don't pick a hotel based on stars alone. A 2 or 3 star hotel might be perfectly lovely, but can't rate higher because it doesn't meet certain criteria. Here are some examples of the guidelines. 4 or 5 star hotels must have personnel that speak at least 2 languages and have elevators on every floor, among other criteria. Room service must be offered to qualify for 3 stars or above. Bar service must be offered for 8 hours a day to qualify for 2 stars, 12 hours for 3 stars, and 16 hours at 4 to 5 star hotels. We've reviewed hundreds of hotels in the 170 back issues of Dream of Italy, available online only to Dream of Italy members. Get a free issue and find out more at dreamofitaly.com/issue. And now, Steve and I continue our conversation.
But then
Something happens.
the alternative, I don't know how to say this. You're going to spend 2 weeks with your spouse alone.
You gotta really like them.
How much fun is that?
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're married, you don't spend all day and all night,
Right.
all the time with your
Yeah.
spouse. You split up all day long.
Yeah.
But on vacation, all of a sudden, you're
It could
not
become
used
intense.
to that. And I know with families, especially if you're on a open-ended vacation where it's not a tour.
Yeah, you
There's
get
a lot
tired
of
of
fighting
each other.
because everyone wants to do something else.
Right.
A tour, you're
That's
stuck
kind of
with
interesting,
the plan.
the
Yeah, you're stuck with the
dynamics.
plan, so there's no fighting. There's no fighting. Either
You're
can
on it?
stay, yeah, you can stay in the room or do something else, but you paid for it. So it's a great way to hang out with other people, meet new people. They're usually like-minded, and you're guaranteed 2 couples who will be your friend for the rest of your life, guaranteed, on every tour.
How interesting.
And then all the, we've had marriages and romantic
I think I've read
things.
some stories about that. Like
Yeah.
people, like single mom, single dad meet on a tour and it all works out.
I should
You should do a
do
single.
a study of all of our, reach out to our entire mailing list.
Yeah.
And say who has
you
met
need to get-
their spouse.
Okay, yeah, for
How
sure.
would I do that?
Just send an email and say, we're looking for great stories. Contact us. See, we're coming up with marketing ideas right here. Send a picture. People can do their own videos now. So they could send in a
Kathy,
video.
this is a great idea.
There you go.
Just now.
Okay.
This is a great idea.
Do it. That's the thing. You say email. Email's really easy though, too. So you shoot out an email and then you have content for life.
I gotta give a little gift.
Yeah. A gift card or like $200 on the next Your Text tour.
For your story, your picture, your video.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it.
I love it. So you have people who've met and love stories and friendships and everything through Perillo Tours.
I think it's thousands.
Wow.
I think it's 1,000 marriages.
Well, how many people have gone on your tours?
And then the children. Imagine the children who didn't exist except if they're not for Perillo Tours.
Kind of amazing.
If you multiply that, it's probably 10,000 people who are alive today because of Perillo Tours.
God. I had no idea.
Kidding, man.
I think that's your whole new marketing
kidding.
campaign. So do you ever go on these tours?
Yeah, I go. I do 2 things. Sometimes I'll call a customer. They think it's a crank phone call. I'll call a customer in their room before dinner because I know they're around 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
Getting ready for dinner. I say, I'm Steve Perillo. How you enjoying your tour? Who's this? What are you guys doing? And
That's great.
then they go downstairs. They tell everyone about it. Then I'll just show up at. We have gala parties. We put a couple of groups together, so we'll have 150 people, and you show up to that. It is really, really fun.
You're like a rock star.
Everyone's having, not really. But they have a good time. The tour leader is what makes it.
And how do you find these tour leaders? Or I know some of them have been with you forever.
Yeah, they do. But there's a lot of applications, and you just, it's a good job. It's a good paying job.
What's the key for that tour leader? What's a key? What kind of personality? They got to be easygoing.
They have to be friendly and a little wacky, but they have to be extremely organized at the same time. So it's that combination of being fun and sociable, but being extremely organized and serious about times and the bus is really leaving. At 8 o'clock. And we're not kidding about that. Because once you let the group like a little
out of control,
that gets more and more out of control.
You've lost them.
So everyone appreciates that. The coaches are fun. You're way up in the air.
They're high. I've seen them.
You're high up. There's bathrooms. There's television. There's headsets. There's Wi-Fi now.
Oh my gosh.
There's Wi-Fi even in the countryside. It's not 100%. Sometimes
right.
It drops
so people
out.
Can share their pictures. That's a big, huge way. People are marketing for you and you don't even know.
Yeah.
They're sharing their experience.
Yeah. The Facebook and Twitter and Instagram.
So how many times have you been to Italy?
Hundreds. Or a few hundred times. And but I tend to go for the meetings, the same places. I wish I could. I really should spend a month exploring. But I want to do that in America. I haven't done that here either.
Well, what's really funny for me? I've been maybe 40 times to Italy. Two or three summers ago, I went to the Grand Canyon. I've never seen America. I haven't seen a lot of America. I did a road trip and I loved it. And it was very funny when I got to the Grand Canyon. I have to tell you, like 20% of the tourists were Italians. The Italians love the American West. The Italians do this like Las Vegas or San Francisco, Las Vegas, Grand Canyon. They're sort of
a Western
they're
thing.
sort of obsessed with
And
the
they have
American
an Eastern
West.
version, I guess. Really?
Yeah.
Did you take a car trip?
Yes. Actually, it's a very long story. It's a friend of mine who has an RV.
That's what I want to do.
It was the best trip ever.
Did you sleep in it, or did
yes.
you have to plug in?
It's like this $70,000-$80,000 RV. It had multiple TV sets. You get Wi-Fi. It's air conditioned. It's really nice.
Who was the driver?
A friend of mine.
You have to be a good driver.
He was a very good driver. He was a very good driver. And
you didn't tug it with a truck.
He tugged his Jeep. So then you have the
you tug your car.
Yeah, you have to be really good because that's quite a long...
That's quite a thing.
But the thing is, we obviously I'm a huge proponent of traveling to Italy and going abroad, but there is so much to see in America, and there's so many people coming to America.
But the last part of that, do you have to plug in at night and find where do you sleep?
Sometimes RV parks, or sometimes it has enough battery power sometimes to...
Just pull over?
Give you a night or two, yeah.
There's one secret everyone knows is Walmart parking lots are always
24/7,
available.
yeah.
Yeah, they're available to all RV people anytime, no questions
But
asked.
there's also this out in the West, it's BLM land, it's Bureau of Land Management, and you can basically just camp or park anywhere in the West.
And how do you deal with the bathroom?
There's a bathroom in the...
Well, how do you deal with it, though? How do you clean it?
I was not in charge of that, so I don't know. But the funniest thing, I was like, this would be so cool to do in Italy, but it's just different because everything is bigger in America.
Yeah, it's too small.
They would be like super small.
Well, you have the Jeep, so outside of town, you park the RV.
Yeah, you park it, and then you can go.
You can do that.
Go around, and I was amazed though at how many Italians were at the Grand Canyon.
Well, we should get into that business.
No, bringing them here.
Yeah.
Although we're, as much as we like not to get into politics, I think people are scared to come here. So
yeah, that'll pass. Though.
Yeah,
that'll pass,
yeah.
Hopefully.
So, is there some place in Italy you still really want to go?
Yeah, I like to spend time in Positano. One of those kind of towns.
Yeah.
I consider Portofino and Positano sister towns. They're like perfect little beach things.
They're small.
With the little houses, like
Yeah.
Cinque Terre is the same kind of idea. Have you ever spent time in either of those places? Portofino is the one in the north.
Yes, I've been to Portofino, I've been to Positano, but I feel like I just pass through or I spend a night or two.
We don't spend
But I have a friend who does Italy travel planning, and she's single, and she has her Italian citizenship. She rented an apartment for 2 months on the Amalfi Coast this summer in Atrani.
What town?
Oh. Atrani. So, not one of the...
That's by Amalfi?
Yeah, right by Amalfi. So
Maiorti is one.
Yeah, and so she's having the real Italian experience instead of just passing through something.
Yeah.
So what about when you try... Do you ever go anywhere besides Italy?
Not really. Well, for business, I go to, in the fall, I was in Iceland.
What did you think?
Which is amazing.
I loved Iceland.
Amazing.
I loved Iceland.
The entire population of a country is 300,000 people. It's a country.
Yeah. I know all this trivia about Iceland. So they practice for the moon landing there because it's the most
surface.
It's most like the surface of the moon. It's the most literate population on Earth.
Really? I can see that.
They do a lot of genetic testing there. It's fairly homogenous, although there were all these sailors that came in and changed the genetics.
Yeah, there's quite a small population to intermarry, but they all speak English.
It's such a cool place.
Yeah.
You can go on Iceland Air and stop in Reykjavik and probably fly on to Italy if people want to try.
Yeah.
To do that. So something I think people don't know about you, which I think is so interesting, and hopefully we're going to share some of it, is that you're a composer.
I've slowed down a little. When you get older, you dry up a little. But,
you need naps.
Yeah, you need naps. But I'm going to get back to it after my, this time of year, June, July, we plan for the following year.
Right.
So it's a humongous amount of work.
Yeah.
Getting all the tours, all the prices, all the literature, all the websites going. And then August, I'm going to get back into it. And I'll give you something to play.
So I've listened to some of it, which I love.
Where do you find it?
I think I found it on your website, right? Steve.com.
I'm not sure.
A few years ago. I plugged it in.
Yeah, a little while ago.
You have some things up there.
The fact that I have a website called Steve.com is amazing.
You were an innovator.
Right?
Did you buy a lot of websites back in the day?
Yeah. I bought all the Italy ones. I bought ItalyTravel.com, ItalyTours.com.
Oh, that's right. Italy Vacations, which is the custom. So I was going to say, Italy Vacations is your custom travel.
Yeah, we have another division.
So are people doing more custom travel now?
No, people still want the full Perillo experience. But the marketplace for individual customized vacations is larger, of course. It's larger.
Yeah.
It takes more work. It's less profitable because there's a lot of work involved.
Sure.
But it's very rewarding to give people the trip of their dreams exactly the way they want it. And with computers, it's getting faster and easier to book everything together.
Right.
It used to take weeks and weeks. You know, we sent airmail first, and then telex to reserve a hotel. It took weeks and weeks and weeks. Now it's instantaneous.
Now it's amazing. It's instantaneous.
Yeah.
So back to your music, is Italy a big influence, or partially?
Yeah,
Some of your music I've listened to.
There's a whole Italian sound going back hundreds of years. It's light. There was the German sound, which was heavy and serious, and the Italian sound, which was light and brighter and airier. So yeah, but I'm half German.
That's right. That's the secret. Uh-oh, your secret is out. Your secret is out.
But his name was Funk, F-U-N-K.
F-U-N-K.
Excuse me for saying, yeah.
Yeah. And we're in Germany. Do you know?
I don't know.
That would be interesting.
It was so long ago. It was, 1860 they came over. That was a long time.
Yeah, but you never know. I've traced my family. They came over 1890. So, in Italy. But, that's a big thing. Everyone's going and tracing their families.
Yep.
Very big.
The genetic tracing as well.
Have you done it?
Yeah, but then I come to find out every company gives you a different answer if you do 3 of them, which you should. But
I've tried one. Okay.
Each one is different. 23andMe, I guess.
I think that's the one I did. So I'll have to see. It was pretty, I'm Irish and Italian. It was pretty on target. But I know people who've gotten
surprises. No,
but I know like Jews who've gotten Native American. So I don't know what that's all about. That's a whole other topic. We'll see.
Extremely interesting.
So, I ask everyone at the end of the show or the podcast, what is your dream of Italy? So if you're dreaming of Italy, what do you dream about?
It's to move there, which I probably am going to do.
Oh, really? I didn't know that you wanted
part
to
of the
do
year,
that.
yeah.
And where? Portofino or Positano?
No, Tuscany or Umbria.
Oh my gosh. I love
Right?
it. Yeah, that's my dream. You could probably
Is that your dream? Is that right?
I'd love to live half the year in Italy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which half? I haven't thought.
It's hard because summer, I love summer though in Italy. I mean, I don't know.
So
or
June
you
to
know what?
Christmas.
I just interviewed Frances Mays and they spend 6 months and 6 months, but they break it up. They do like 2 months, like June, part of July, and then they go back mid-September to mid-November. So they don't do a full 6 months. They break it up.
They're a couple? Or...
Yeah, Frances and her husband from Under the Tuscan Sun.
Where do they go? Tuscany?
Yeah,
somewhere?
Bramasole, their famous house. And
do they rent it out or part of it or anything?
No.
Or it's just their...
It's just their house. That's the famous one in Cortona that everyone goes by.
I can go online and see the interior and everything?
Oh, yeah. I'll show you.
Is it palatial or...
It's pretty nice. She wrote that book about 22 years ago. She wrote the book Under the Tuscan Sun, redid this, and people are still coming to look at the house. Because she was one of the first.
It's not in the movie, is it?
Yeah, it's the movie with Diane Lane.
Is it the same house in the movie?
No, it's a different actual house. Yeah, there's a different movie.
Is that the one with the bird that crapped on the bird crapped and it's good luck? Was that the movie?
Yeah.
Inside, they were fixing it up.
Yeah, but here's the thing. She has a husband and always had a husband in real life, but for the movie, they made her not have a husband. She had to meet an Italian.
Where do they live in the States?
North Carolina. You have to meet her.
Like Italy. North Carolina and Tuscany are the same climate.
Kind of. She's southern, and you have to meet her. You have to when next time you're in Tuscany. She's beside you, and she are probably the most famous people related to Italy. Or promoting and involved
Sophia
with
Loren
Italy.
is still alive. Sophia Loren is still alive.
Yes, she is, and she owes everything to pasta.
Get her on your show.
I know.
She'll come on your show.
She was like the godmother for some cruise ship, and I was like, I gotta call her up.
MSC.
Yeah. So
anything helping Italy, she'll do it.
Well, she's been amazing, and I've seen her house right off the. I don't know if she's still. Well, yeah, she had a place off of Conca di Marini in the Amalfi Coast, but I don't know if she still owns it. But she's a tried and true.
Who else are you going to have on your new podcast?
I don't know.
You had,
we're going to do some genealogy because people are super into tracing their roots. Frances, I already taped a podcast with her. Frances Mays from Under the Tuscan Sun. We will see who else I can rustle up. There's lots of good book authors like Susan, who wrote about women traveling to Italy.
Yeah, she'd be a good one.
Everyone has a story. My friend Roseanne does a lot of family travel and bringing kids and tips about that. There's a lot. People.
But you'll get big names,
People,
too. You'll
yeah.
be surprised. You know how you get big names? It's surprising how you get big names.
Yeah, well, Francis Ford Coppola, season 2.
No.
Yeah, you knew that.
No, the TV show.
Yeah.
But the podcast. No,
Well, maybe I can call him again.
No, he'll do the podcast.
We had a good chat.
Yeah.
Well, people feel something really strongly about Italy, so, we'll see.
I know. It's tough being
See.
other countries.
Oh, I know.
Belgium.
No, right.
Belgium's
The
nice.
marketing.
Belgium is nice. And
So I didn't know you wanted to live in Italy.
Germany is nice, yeah.
I like it. I really like it. So you could probably get citizenship if you wanted it.
Yeah, but I don't.
You don't need it.
I tried, but my grandfather was in. When my father was born, my grandfather was in South America. A lot of people went to Argentina.
Right.
A lot of times. So then there's a loss of something there because my father was born when he was away or something like that.
Huh. You could still try because when I found out,
I had a hard time. Did you try?
but I have 2 of our sponsors do this
Yeah.
genealogy. I'm trying, and there were 2 laws that I fell under that I couldn't get it, but one of them is if your mother was born before 1948, which for a woman, and that was me, and it's considered discriminatory, so I could actually go to court in Rome and get it.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so even if you think you can't get it, there's probably a way.
Laws change.
They should give you
change.
honorary
That's right. That's right.
citizenship, or maybe the Vatican will.
That's right. I should be knighted.
Well, isn't it like a cavalieri or something?
Yes, Knights of Malta.
I'll write a letter for you.
To who?
I don't know. Who do you write to? Who's the president or the prime minister right now? I don't even know.
He's that new guy.
Well, before there's a new one, I'll write in. We'll start a letter writing campaign. All right. Well, thank you, Steve. I had a good time chatting with you, and we'll talk more sometime.
All right. Maybe I'll start a podcast.
You have to. All right. Good job.
For more about Steve and Perillo Tours, visit perillotours.com. For show notes on this episode, visit dreamofitaly.com/5. Thank you to our podcast sponsors. Thanks, Fruits and Passion Cucina. These olive oil-based elevated kitchen products are biodegradable, eco-friendly, and never tested on animals. Save 15% at fruitsandpassion.com with the promo code DREAMOFITALY15. Thanks again to MedJet. This annual medical transport membership for leisure and business travelers fills in where many insurance policies leave off. Insurance typically gets you to the nearest acceptable facility. MedJet can get you home to a hospital of your choice. So whether you're on a weekend getaway 150 miles from home or on a vacation in Italy, MedJet has you covered. Save on multi-year memberships at medjet.com/dreamofitaly. If you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe to the Dream of Italy podcast on Apple Podcasts and leave us a review. For more about all of our podcast episodes and to give us feedback on what you would like to hear in the future, visit dreamofitaly.com/podcast. And for all things Dream of Italy, the award-winning travel publication, membership website, TV show, and travel planning service, visit dreamofitaly.com. Ciao!